This podcast was brought to you by Outsider. Check us out at www.outsider.com. Outsider is an outdoor lifestyle brand owned and operated by me, retired Navy SEAL Sam Mackey, and my dear friend and former NFL quarterback Jay Cutler. At Outsider, we encourage everyone to get outside and enjoy all that life has to offer. Head over to outsider.com to check out our unique patent-pending drinkware. Outsider's drinkware can be customized with your personal or business logo. Go to outsider.com, upload your logo, and we will send you visual proofs and great wholesale pricing. And don't forget, get outside and enjoy all that life has to offer. Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of Take It Outside podcast. I'm your host, Sam Mackey, and my co-host, Jay Cutler, is not here because he's stuck in New York because he went to the premiere of Yellowstone last night. My next guest is a #1 hit singer-songwriter, the champion of the blue-collar generation. He has over 400 million streams, and he has a new album out called Damascus. And if you don't know what that is, go haze yourself. Everyone, please welcome Elvie Shane.
What up?
Woo, the crowd goes wild.
The crowd goes wild.
I appreciate you, my man. Thanks for coming on.
No, thank you guys for having me,
Excited
man.
to have
I enjoy
you.
doing these. If anything, I bullshit with the best of them. So my daddy was a truck driver, so I come by it honest. You know?
There you go. Where'd you grow up at?
Caneyville, Kentucky, a little small town, just a couple hours north of here. It took me a long time to get down here, though, man. I thought this was just like a fairy tale place.
Really?
Know? Yeah, I went straight out of high school into the working world and spent about 10, 11 years there. And,
What'd you do?
oh, Lord, what have I not done, man? I never kept a job over 6 months. So
Really?
I did tool and die, drove semi-trucks, worked on farms, did mobile home warranty work, construction, built pole barns, road construction, pipeline construction. I just bounced around chasing money.
Tool and die. What did you do?
So basically factory work.
Yeah.
So the place that I worked when I did the tool and die, I think it was called Bird Tool and Die in Hardinsburg, Kentucky. I would sit at a saw and cut axles to E350 vans all night and just make sure I poured a little oil on it as the saw, and it was a very boring job.
All right.
Boring. Yeah.
What was life like growing up? Where are you from?
Oh man.
What'd you do as a kid? What were your parents into?
I like to say it was like 10 years behind the rest of the world where I grew up, which was kind of cool to me. But I grew up in a little basement house down in the holler in Post Housey Road in Caneyville, Kentucky. And I would, most of the time when I was a kid, I just spent out in the woods kind of hiking around. There was this really cool place through the holler called Pine Knob where there was no theater and a cool old general store and a knob, which is like a itty-bitty little mountain in Kentucky, you know. And we'd go climb that, and there was a cave on the other side of it, swimming hole. So I spent a lot of time going over there with my brother when I was young. Childhood was kind of crazy. Dad was a truck driver. Mom was a factory worker. I was one of 4 kids. Just...
Where do you fall within the 4?
I am the third, so the oldest of us, my sister Renee, then my brother Clinton, myself, and my younger brother Dakota.
Okay. You said basement house. My grandma has one of these, and if it's the same thing that I'm thinking of, I'm going to call it living room windows are about ground level.
Yeah, so the living room windows are up above our head.
Yeah.
And so basically like 3 sides of our house is in the ground.
Yep.
And it opens up. And so it's down the hill. You know, you're looking down the hill. Daddy always said he wanted to finally get to a house one of these days where he's, you got to look up the hill when you walk out in the driveway. He wanted to get somewhere where he's only looking downhill one of these days. But they're still there, though. They're still there.
What was the purpose behind building one of those basement houses? Tornadoes, storms?
I'm not really sure. That's a good question. I never really thought about it.
Because you got to dig
is
it into
safe.
the side of the hill or whatever, you know?
Probably a little cheaper to build one of those back in the day. You know, concrete was probably cheap, and you just go in there and form up the walls and pour the walls in, and then you got 3 sides of the house done. You just frame up the interior and that one exterior wall, you know?
I mean, that makes sense.
It was probably cost efficiency, man, you know? So, but yeah, we spent a lot of time just rolling around in gravel, working on semi-trucks my whole life.
Yeah.
I believe I was about 9 or 10 years old when my daddy taught me how to hammer a screwdriver into the side of a oil filter on a semi truck so I could have it for leverage to
Yep.
loosen it up, change the filter, and put 2 wrenches together on the oil plug to have a little lever to break that loose. So I started working with him when I was young, and by the time I was 11 or 12, I was 2 tire irons and a tire hammer, changing semi tires. And
there you go.
Dad he'd try to put me up against some of the other boys around town that changed semi tires. He said I could do it faster than anybody. And he destroyed my back doing that very early. But yeah, man, just super blue collar raising.
A lot of kids don't grow up like that anymore.
No, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but also it's like it's pretty soft these days. It seems like
very, very soft.
There's still some out there. There's still some good old boys out there. Some young good old boys getting after it. But
100%. You know, and everyone talks about how the next generation's getting soft. I'm sure that the same words have been spoken for
they have,
for 100 years, right? If not
Absolutely.
more so. And at work, in the last handful of years, when I was in the Navy, new guys would show up to the SEAL teams, and some of them, I had one real young kid. I think he showed up. He was 18 or 19 years old, harder than woodpecker lips.
Yeah.
But it was.
Yes, he knows my language.
you know what I mean? And then another one of my wife, she's from South Dakota, and one of their family friends, they're from church. Their son approached me. Shit, this is a long time ago. He's been in SEAL teams maybe like 4 or 5 years now. And but he approached me. He was like 11 or 12 at the time, and he wanted to be a SEAL. And then I said, well, just keep working out and learn to swim, things like that. He's a little boy. Then he approached me again when he was about 16. And we had a different conversation. He was in high school. Yeah. He's like, well, I can join in 2 years. And I just started talking to him about everything he does. He lived out on a ranch. And long story short, he's like, well, I wrestle and break horses.
Yeah.
I'm like,
a good candidate.
Yeah.
So how old is he now?
Maybe 23.
So did he go to, what's the process? Was he in the Navy for a little while or a different branch and then he went to Buds, or did he go straight to Buds?
Went straight to Buds. So
at 18?
Yeah.
Holy
you can go at 17.
Shit.
A lot of kids. There's not a lot of people that go at 17, but you can go, but I want to say we had a couple kids in our class that are 17. I think maybe one of them made it. I can't really remember, but it's fairly common to go to Buds at 17.
God almighty, dude.
It was intimidating for me. I was 19, because I got held back in kindergarten for whatever reason, I'm a boy for being a boy, and it's what they did back then. And right.
I still got whipped when I was in elementary school, man. They were still whipping us back then. And Mr. Purcell with his big ping pong paddle that was this thick and had airplanes painted on it.
It just whipped the shit out of you.
Yeah, he beat the shit out of me with it. Yeah.
And I remember showing up to Buds, looking around. I'm like, I'm fucked. I'm like, there's guys here that they're grown-ass men. They look like they belong in men's fitness magazines. You know what I mean? And I'm just a kid. And at the end of the day, it's all between your ears, and all those guys leave, and it's just typically just a bunch of good old boys left.
Yeah.
What do you do? I'm from Texas. I hunt and fish a lot. I help my dad. He's a truck driver. Oh, my dad owns a well business. I help him with that. And it's always, or I wrestle and help my dad break horses. It's a pretty common theme. You have your outliers where it's like, oh yeah, I'm from Connecticut and my dad worked on Wall Street and just live a different life than most people, very, well off. And there's like, I've been sleeping in my mom's El Camino for the last 2 years with her,
wow.
So it's all different walks of life. But anyway, back to what I was saying, there is some very hard young men out there still.
Yeah,
and
man.
It's always...
it's kind of like you said, people have been saying for years and years about the next generation, but dude, I do feel like there's a little bit. It is a little bit of a dying breed, but also things go in cycles.
Yep.
What is it? The hard times.
I try to fucking remember this all the time, and I fuck it up. What you're about to say.
The hard times make strong men. Strong men make easy times. Easy times make weak men. Weak men make hard times.
Something
right?
of that
yeah,
nature.
It's like it just goes round and round. So hopefully they'll be getting. We're in hard times right now.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be getting a little bit better for us.
I certainly hope so. So, did you do any hunting and fishing growing up?
I did not, man. Other than my grandfather, who was a Marine Corps drill instructor back in the late 60s, early 70s, he would take me bird hunting.
Okay.
He was a big quail hunter and had I just said hunter. I've never enunciated that in my life. I don't know if I did. he had a couple old English setters, and Jack and Susie. And we go out with them and quail hunt. You know, he was I think he was in the Marines for, I may be way wrong, but I think he was kind of like a career Marine. Like he was like 10, 20 years or something like that. I never heard that man say a cuss word a day in my life. Never seen him lose his temper.
Southern Baptist?
No, the most Christian man I ever met in my life. I never seen him in a church house once in his life, in my life. Okay. But there was one time when he was holding the electric fence down with the buttstock of his old 16 gauge, and he went to step over it, and it slipped up and hit him in the cod, and I thought I heard a little shit. I thought I did, but I'm still not sure. But other than that, man, it's just that dude. You know, we lost him about 2 years ago, and I just had no idea. You know how impactful that man was all in my life, and how much respect I had for him until he was gone. You know, a little too late. But,
did he end up in Vietnam?
No, he never had to go overseas or anything. But he trained people to. You know, just he was just a force, man. He could walk in the room, not say a word, and woke up every morning at 4:30, put his mock toe boots on, and didn't take them off till 10 o'clock at night. Yep. At 10 o'clock every night, if we were staying down there, which I only got to see him about 1 or 2 weeks a year because he lives so far away from us, but he'd push the recliner down, he'd bend over, unlace his boots, and he'd go to bed. He kept his boots on from the time he woke up to the time he went to bed, man. Just dairy farmer.
Really?
Yeah.
Marines, you know, they get these habits and, you know, are drilled into them, things of that nature.
Yeah.
And it never leaves them. My father-in-law is a Marine, and, you know, he still has his habits. He exercises in some fashion every day.
Yeah.
You know, he'll do his push-ups and his sit-ups.
I needed that discipline, man. I tried to go in the military. I think I was 19, or maybe, I was 19 years old. And I was trying to get into the military because I had no direction, man. I'd left high school. I went and worked for a couple years, and the mobile home industry is where I went first, doing warranty work, and the mobile home industry plummeted. And so I came back home, or close to home, the county over, and I was about to join the military, and I got in a fight with this dude over some girl in a gravel parking lot, and I got my knees busted up a little bad in the fight. And a few days later, my entire body was just covered in these red whelps. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Maybe I shouldn't mess with this girl anyway. What's going on? I'm just kidding.
I feel like I've been in the same fight, that same gravel parking lot.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. And it's like I'm covered, my whole body. And so, and the same time, I'm talking to the military and everything. I go see this doctor, and he's like, "You got psoriasis." And I'm like, "Psoriasis? I've never, like, my dad has psoriasis, but I've never had
signs of it before in your life?"
No signs of it at all. And he was like, sometimes, you know, trauma, I think it's called the Kepner effect or something. It's like sometimes trauma can cause you to break out for the first time. I've heard of people being 50 years old, break their ankle and break out in psoriasis for the first time in their life. So I learned then that you have to have the smallpox vaccine to be able to be deployed, and you have to be able to be deployed to be in the military. So therefore, I wasn't able to join the military. And yeah.
You know, what led me to the military, I got in a little bit of trouble. I got arrested for selling weed to an undercover cop in California.
Let's go, man. Did we just become best friends?
Want to go do karate in the garage? And then went to juvenile hall. This was right before my 18th birthday, luckily. Went to juvenile hall for a couple weeks and got expelled from school, was on house arrest for about 6 months. And then I always wanted to be a SEAL since the movie Navy SEALs with Charlie Sheen came out.
Yeah.
Then it dawned on me, like, maybe I can get off probation if I join the military. So I called my probation officer. She's like, let me check. And then she called me back. She's like, yeah, if you join the military, you're free to go, and your record will be expunged. I ran to that fucking recruiter's office and left as soon as I could.
So what branch did you join?
The Navy.
The Navy's where you went. And did you try to go straight to Buds Inc? Because I read a little bit of your story this morning. It sounds like it was a story of perseverance to me.
Yep,
you know?
That's exactly it. It was it is what it is. One thing I don't want to ever do is turn it into like a sob story or feel bad for me bullshit. But I went to, at the time you had to go to boot camp, and then after you still have to go to boot camp. But then after boot camp, we had to go to A school, which is will be your trade in the military.
Okay.
Right. And so my trade was I picked a master at arms, which is a gate guard or security on base.
Okay.
Because you can only pick, if you want to go to Buds afterwards, there's only a select few that you could pick. And that one was available, and the school was pretty short. So it was pretty much my fastest route to Buds.
Yeah.
And then, so I went to boot camp, went to A school, went to Buds, made it through Hell Week, and then the rest of first phase, then at the beginning of the second phase. So Hell Week is where first phase is where you have the highest nutrition rate. You know, everyone quits, and then second phase is when you start the diving. Well, I failed one run before Hell Week. I think it was the first run or second run. I couldn't remember. And and then I failed one run after Hell Week, which meant I had to get rolled. So they give you 8 weeks or 12 weeks or something like that to either heal and or fix whatever you were deficient at. Right?
Okay.
And I had a real bad hurt foot, so I got rolled for performance and then went to medical, and they're like, oh, you have a stress fracture in your left foot. So then I went to what's called brown shirt rollback land, because after you wear a white shirt and then after Hell Week, you wear a brown shirt. So everyone can identify who's been through Hell Week and who hasn't, right? Mainly for the instructors. And so I was in brown shirt rollback land. That's that 8 to 12 weeks where you work on whatever you're deficient at. Where I was on crutches the whole time. And the Master Chief that was running brown shirt rollback land retired. 2 other guys came in, and about a week later or so, we were getting ready. The people that were about to join the following class were getting ready to class up. I was still on crutches, and then they called out the list of names of everyone that was classing up on the following Monday. This is like a Thursday or Friday, and they said my name, and I'm standing there on crutches. I'm like, well, I think that's wrong. I was rolled for performance, but then I was told it got turned into a medical roll because of my foot. And a medical roll, typically you have 2 classes. It's a 2-class roll. And like, nope, it never got turned into a medical roll. So you have to class up on Monday, and this is right after Hell Week. So I joined the following class behind me after Hell Week, and then the following week I had a time run, so I had a week to walk on my foot and try to do as best as I could. We had a time run the following Monday, failed it, and then the instructors, I think they felt bad for me. I realized I was kind of getting fucked, and because they gave me another shot, which is completely out of character.
Yeah.
And so they let me, I think, go another week until we classed up for second phase. And it was first day of second phase, had another time run, failed it, and got dropped. Went to, got stationed in Italy as a gate guard
I'm
for
going
about
to
a year.
Italy in March.
Where about you going?
What base?
I was in, it's called NAS Sigonella.
I don't know. I can't remember what the base is called or what.
Is it Naples? There's a big Air Force base up in Naples.
I'm supposed to, I think I'm going to be near Venice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's an Air Force base.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not. It might be an Army base. But anyway, I'm going over to play for the troops.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
You'll love it. Get out and see the town, eat some good
I want
food.
to, man. It's a dream come true.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe I got the phone call. I've got a friend who married a gentleman that's in the service over there, and he's stationed over there right now. So, but anyway, sorry.
Aviano?
I don't know, man. I was hoping if you said something, it might spark something, but it's not.
There's a few bases up north. I was way down south in Sicily.
Okay.
And then just tried everything I could to get back to Buds for like a year and a half. Met one of my best friends over there. He was going to Buds too, but I mean, we were kids and living overseas every other weekend. We had a 3-day weekend, so we were traveling, and we were just fucking up anything we could fuck up. And so I got in a bunch of trouble. So the roadmap back to Buds was looking a little hazy. And then there's a gentleman, or it was my boss at the time, or he came in, and he was a beer drinker, Harley rider, just a good old boy. And him and I got along. And I was telling him I want to go to Buds, and within like 2 weeks he got me orders.
Oh, cool.
And then I went back to Buds and made it right through and went right to the SEAL teams.
So it was kind of like the second and a half try is when you made it through. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
yeah, dude, I can't imagine. I know there's different opinions on Mr. Goggins amongst the Navy SEAL crowd, but I read his first book back in the day. I don't have anything bad to say about him from my point of view. Is like I was pretty much a piece of shit. It never really worked out in my life or anything. And reading that book and listening to him talk on some podcasts really kind of inspired me to get after it for the first time in my life, and lost a bunch of weight and gotten best health I'd been in. But I learned a little bit about buds and Hell Week and stuff through that. And it's, I am definitely not tougher than woodpecker lips compared to you guys. There's no way. I did CrossFit with my wife Monday, and I haven't been able to walk all week. So I'm a little soft myself right now.
It's very, very doable. You just have to show up and know, like, every day is going to be horrible. Every day is going to be the worst day of my life. Just make it from meal to meal. And for me, when people quit, I feel like I was like taking their soul and their energy,
Well, you said it's all between your ears.
Oh, yeah.
In the end of it.
Yeah, and you look around, you see someone like, man, that guy's a stud. He's awesome. He's tall, he's fit, he's fast, like he's good at everything. Then he quits.
Yeah.
You're like, then, part of you mentally feels like, man, I'm stronger than him. Then you start to believe in yourself, and I'm a firm believer in just willing shit to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. I mean, I'm just consistently inconsistent, man. 2020 was actually the best year of my life for my career, for my health, everything. I was like, I had a 4-pack. I just about had a 6-pack for the first time in my life.
I don't know if I've had some abs, but if you look at me, I've never had like the defined 6-pack. I got a buddy, Eric. He looks like a damn Ninja Turtle. Like his abs are like fists, and he could sit back and drink, 25 Busch Lights and eat 3 pizzas and wake up the next day and his abs look even bigger.
we keep switching it up at the same time.
I don't know why the fuck I do
we got to say, there we go. But no, man, I've never, I was always a pretty small guy, and then I hit my mid-20s, and I couldn't do it anymore. It started catching up with me. Yeah. My head swelled up like a basketball, dude. I see a picture of myself. I just seen it here on my back, and I was like, God dang, boy, you had a big head.
I have a big head, and that's what happens to me too. When I put on weight, my face just looks fatter than shit.
Swells up. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You so did you start hunting when you was young, or?
Yeah, I grew up. One of my great friends, Joe Thomas, his father was a really big bird hunter. We lived on the same base. My dad was in the Coast Guard. His dad was in the Coast Guard, and they were really into duck hunting.
Okay.
And Joe and I were best friends, and so his dad just started taking me. We went through the hunter safety course together in the 4th grade or 3rd grade, whenever you do that. And then he started taking me bird hunting, and so we did a lot of duck hunting and a lot of pheasant hunting. So all game bird hunting. And then it wasn't until I was in the Navy when I started deer hunting. I wanted to, I just never really had the opportunity. Yeah. Then I show up to the SEAL team, and I just ask guys in my platoon, I'm like, hey, does anybody hunt? And a guy in my platoon, he's like, yeah, a guy went to buds with. He's a big hunter, and his dad has a hunting lease out in Emporia, which is maybe like an hour and 40 minutes away from Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
And he was a good old guy. His name was Ron Pogue. He just recently passed away, unfortunately, a couple weeks ago. And but he was my mentor. I went up there, and he's like, and he had this old raspy voice, and he smoked Pall Mall non-filters and drank PBRs like it was his fucking job.
That's the dying breed right there.
He's like, come on in. And he's like, playing poker. Yeah, I know a little poker, but the games of poker they play, the dealer calls it, all sorts of different. He's like, well, we're going to take your money, we're going to get a little drunk, and we're going to shoot some deer.
Yeah, I've sat around with the boys and do that. It's dealer's choice, man. Yeah, we've had fun. I've done that shit at deer camp,
it's a lot of fun, dude.
Yeah, so where is Virginia Beach exactly? Is that Del Mar?
No, it's in Virginia.
Oh, that's Virginia, okay.
Yep, so Virginia, it'd be
Makes
the southeast portion of Virginia.
Okay. Were you ever over in Del Mar County or over around San Diego? Don't you guys do stuff over there?
Yep. I went through Buds on Coronado.
Okay, so it's over there.
Yep.
So the first time I was ever around any SEALs, it was my very first opening opportunity as an artist. I was in a duo with a good buddy of mine that I wrote My Boy with, Russell Sutton. we had this group called Grassroots Revival. We went out and opened for Toby Keith for a few shows in California. And the last show was Del Mar County Fair. And, you know, everybody knows Toby Keith loved military. So there's a bunch of SEALs hanging out back. And I'm watching these dudes fight and cuss each other. It's like, I was like, damn, they're about to really go at it. I don't know, man. They're friends. I'm like, God,
I fought a lot of my friends in the SEAL teams.
Yeah, I mean, I seen them get a little scuffle on there, you know, get a little buzz, get a little scuffle on everything.
It's very cutthroat office space.
It seems like it was that's what it's supposed to be, though, man.
Yeah. It's extremely cutthroat. Like, for example, you know, I'm going to take it from, you know, the lens of being in charge. Like, you have two guys, they're at each other's throat about something that maybe happened the night before, something happened during training. Then they come in the next day and we're all in the office and they start bickering.
Yeah.
I've seen this multiple times, like, you two stand up and fight.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm not going to listen to this shit anymore. Fight right here.
I dig that.
Yeah. And then
it's kind of like, I'll kill you, but I got your back, too.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah. 100%. Yeah. And fighing is socially acceptable in the SEAL teams. So,
I mean.
And which I agree, because I think fighting is very, you know, has a spot amongst men, especially in, you know, in that arena, you know, with all that aggression and type A personalities.
I mean, I love it, man. I last year I broke my ankle. I was supposed to go to Europe. I was going to Sweden and Germany and the UK. It would have been my first time in Sweden, Germany, and my second time over in the UK playing music. But I broke my ankle doing jiu-jitsu 5 days before my flight.
Oh.
And I went to the doctor. I'm like, man, I want to go. Can I go? He's like, yeah, sure, you can go. You can also die from blood clot.
Tap or snap.
Oh, God dang. Well, dude, it was so stupid. I wasn't even rolling. I was with this dude. He's like 6'7", and I was acting like I was going to take his ass down. And when I went after him, my foot caught in the like the crease between two mats, and it rolled, and it went pow. And our instructor was like, Sheldon, he was like, hey, what was that? Pow. Sounded like 22 went off, you know, it was so loud. And I was like, it was me, motherfucker. It's like my ankle. I'm laying there. I was like, dude, I'm laying there for a minute. I'm like, you got an e-cig, man? Just give me anything right now, you know? But anyways, that was the second time I tried getting into jiu-jitsu, and I was really enjoying it, and it was helping me out so much. And then now I'm like, I don't know. I want to do it again, but I'm like, I don't want to break my ankle again.
I boxed my whole life. Jiu-jitsu started getting real popular, I want to say, I don't know, maybe like 2010 in the SEAL teams. A lot of guys started doing it, somewhere right around in there.
It seems like it would be it's a truly effective martial art, especially in that line of work.
Especially, yeah. And then and it's different game with body armor and things of that nature. But I boxed my whole life, and I've broke my ankle boxing before. And doing something similar. So took a step, took a step and pushed down real hard. And I remember, I broke it. And then I had to have a soft cast in the back. Yeah, I was a kid though.
I broke my talus, so it's like this bone, but it's like on the top where your foot kind of rotates or whatever. And they say it's like a super dangerous little bone to break, because sometimes they break and it'll cut off a blood flow to that bone, and that bone will just rot in your foot. So now I'm like, God dang, am I ever gonna be right again? But luckily, I'm good. I can still walk and run. But
you say it sound like a 22. And for folks listening, if you haven't heard a bone break before, it can be extremely loud.
Yeah,
we used to play this game. So Fridays, typically in the SEAL teams, you'll do some sort of monster mash, like a run, swim, run, or something like that. Then you follow it off. Everyone's done. You close up shop for the day at 10, 11. Then you'll have a bunch of beer and barbecue. Yeah. And it's called a Frogman Friday. Just go and work. You have a hellacious workout, and then drink some beer, and everybody beats it for the weekend. Well, we started playing a game, and I forget what we called it, but I'll think of the name of it in a second. But it's a mix between like football, soccer, and rugby.
Okay.
So there's two soccer balls, two teams, two soccer balls. And if the ball's on the ground, it's like soccer. But you could kick it up to your partner or someone on your team. They catch it, it turns into rugby.
Okay.
And then you could throw it in the goal for a point, or kick it in for 2 points.
Okay.
Well, you could, if someone has the ball, you could tackle them.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's a very.
But no pads.
Hell no.
It's rugby.
Dudes getting after it. Right.
I love it.
Very dangerous, because we used to play this other game. It was like ultimate frisbee but with a football, and I forget the name of that. But so many people got hurt, and like then they're not able to deploy and things like that. So like, hey, you can't play this game anymore. So we picked this game, which wasn't even fucking better. But anyway, a guy, my buddy slid tackle our boss and snapped his tib fib right here. And I was across the soccer field, and it sounded like a fucking gun.
Gnarly.
It was very, very loud. And he hit the ground and was rolling around. It was very unfortunate.
I've had a few incidents.
Oh, damn. That looks good.
So I broke this one twice, I think. No, so it's been broke 3 times. I broke it twice. Doctor broke it once. I broke this one once. First time I was on a green broke mare. I was about 14 years old.
I'm scared of horses because it's very reason.
I never had a great relationship with horses. I always loved horses. My papaw, Warren, would climb up underneath the horse. He used to have this thing, and some people won't like this, but you'd have it's called a twitch, and you got this long wooden pole, and there's a loop or rope tied on the end of it, and you put that over the horse's nose, and you twist it, and it pinches their nose, and it releases endorphins, so the horse kind of gets in a little bit of a trance. I mean, you twist it up pretty hard, and so I would hold the twitch when I was a kid, and my papa would climb up underneath a stud horse with a case pocket knife, a case Stockman, and he pulled the little blade out, and he had this purple spray that was like a disinfectant and would help like cauterize the wound, and he'd climb up underneath her pocket knife, cut their sack, and castrate this, throw the balls over here, and spray that purple spray, and be done in 10 seconds. Really? And people would pay him to come do that because he'd do it all over the place, because he was just so quick.
I've never heard of that method.
Oh, that's an old school way of doing it, But I mean, I grew up in a different time, But so I go around, and my papaw, there wasn't a horse in the country that was tougher than my papaw, But we had this little green broke mare, and I'd only been riding her for a little while, and she didn't have no shoes on. And I'd been riding her through the woods, and her feet was kind of tender. She was having trouble walking, but she was wanting to kind of trot a little bit. And I think maybe it was just easier on her feet, or she was just ready to get back to the house. I think it might have been, I can't remember. I think it was a mare. It might have been a gelding. But anyways, I'm coming up over a hill about half a mile from the house, quarter mile, half a mile, and a car goes by and spooks her, and she takes off running. And when she gets to about a canter, it's almost full-blown run, her feet slip on a blacktop, and we went down. So I'm going down with, 900-pound horse behind me or more. And I just remember hitting the ground, like I hit my face real hard, and the horse rode over. I was stuck in the stirrups, and she rode over top of me, smashed me, and then she took off, and my foot came out of the stirrup, and she takes off running down the road. And I was always taught, you get down. Papa was like, if you get down on the horse, you get back on it, and you ride it back to the house. So she takes off running down the road towards the house, and I was stood up, and I like slung my arm. I remember I was like, "Get back here, bitch! What the hell?" Well, when I slung my arm, I said, "God, something didn't feel right." I looked down, and like there's a scar here too. So my bone had came out of socket right here, and just like kind of came out of the skin and broke right here.
Really?
Dude, my fingers are like touching my elbow. It's bad. I could point at you with my bone. And dude, I walk up to my neighbor's house. I was like, take my shirt off, cover it up. I don't want to look at it. I walk to my neighbor's house, knock on the door. She answers the door. I was like, I broke my arm. And she's like, ugh.
How old were you?
I'm like 13.
Okay.
She just wilts, So but finally they get me to the house and everything. And they didn't do surgery on it that time. It was just, they did closed reduction. So when I got out of the cast, my arm, I mean, in high school, people would just pick on me because you could lay my arm flat on the lunchroom table, slide your arm underneath my arm, never touch skin. It was bad. It was crooked for years. And then when I was, probably 12 years ago, I'm working for my father-in-law, spraying power line right-of-ways. And so we'd be on four-wheelers on the road and drive from power line to power line and spray vines and stuff. And I'm riding side saddle, and I got my coworker sitting on the front of the four-wheeler, and we hit a dip doing about 30, 35 mile an hour, and it jerks the handlebars out of my hand.
Yeah.
And I tried to run it out. I got 2 hard steps in, went down, and broke my arm again. And so that time, they did actual surgery on it. No. That time he set it again. I was in a cast for 6 weeks, but a few days after I got put in a cast, I went back to work with my father-in-law, and I grabbed a chemical jug in the back of the truck, and when I pulled it, I felt something pow in my arm, and I was like, God. So I told my father-in-law, I was like, look, man, I'm going to go let this heal. I've had a crooked arm all my life. I told the doctor that it was crooked, and I would like him to fix it if he could before I went under. And sure enough, I get out of my cast, my arm's crooked again. It's crooked as a dog's hind leg, man. It's bad. So I looked at the doctor. I'm like, look, man, I've had a crooked arm since I was 13 years old. Will you please just take a knife to this son of a bitch and fix it, please? And he sat there for a minute, and he said, buddy, you think breaking a bone's bad? Think about re-breaking one and waking up. It's gonna be the worst pain you ever felt in your life. I don't care. Just fix my arm. I broke this one that time too, but just like I broke a chip off the ball on my wrist, and I just wore a brace and fixed it. But so we go back in, they cut me open. So now I've got like a 9-inch long titanium plate in there with like 11 screws in it holding everything together, and my tendons rub up against it all the time, But it's kind of straight.
That's straight in my book.
It's pretty straight.
That's good enough for government work.
It's good enough for government work, that's sure. But yeah, he wasn't lying, man. I laid in the bed the night after I got that done. And just my wife, just to pick my arm up and put it on a pillow to elevate it, dude, I had to freaking put a belt in my mouth just to move it. The first 2 days was the worst pain I ever felt in my life.
Is that where the saying, just get back on the horse, comes from? Is that a thing? Like if you fall off a horse, you have to get back on it?
Get back on a ride.
Is it for the horse at all? Or is it solely for the human?
I think it's solely for the human. Yeah. If you think about it, you just don't let anything whip your ass.
I believe in it. And we were out in Arizona on a skydiving trip once, and one of my guys we just left the plane, and I lost him. I'm looking for him, and then I see a chute way down low. I'm like, all right, cool. Obviously, I had some sort of major malfunction, cut it away, and now he's good. So we land and talk to him. He's like, yeah, I forget what type of malfunction he had, but he was stuck on his back. And if you're stuck on your back, what you do, they say you just try to roll out of bed. Like get all your momentum and get on your belly again, because you you're not supposed to cut away and or pull your main parachute on your back.
Okay.
Because
if you're falling with ground, back facing the ground?
Yeah, if you're belly to the sky, you're not supposed to pull.
Okay.
And he's trying to, and he knows he's losing altitude, and he doesn't have any material over his head yet. And so he's like, "Oh, I got to cut this thing away and get my reserve, some sort of fabric over my head." So he cuts away on his back, and luckily flips over. His reserve comes out, and he's good to go. And he's pretty shaken up when I get back down to the DZ.
I imagine.
And it's late at night. That was our last jump for the night. And
y'all were jumping in the dark?
Yeah. We don't do shit during the day.
Crazy bastards.
And so I go and I talk to the cadre, the instructors. I said, hey, we need to do one more lift. And I go and I talk to my buddy. I said, hey, this is what we're going to do. I know this is going to suck. We're going to debrief it real quick. Then I don't care if anyone else goes, but you and I, we're going back up there. We're going to do one more jump. Otherwise, tonight's going to suck, and tomorrow your first jump's going to suck even more, because you're going to be dreading this all night. Yeah. And I said, we just need to get back on the horse. Let's go. And so what you just said reminded me of that.
So I went and did it again right after that.
And we turned and bird, and I think my whole platoon jumped on the plane with him.
That's badass.
And went and did one more jump for the night.
Hell yeah, a little solidarity.
Yeah.
I like that.
But
I've thought about going and doing the skydiving thing. There was an old preacher. I grew up pretty in the church scene with my mom. My mom was every Sunday, every Wednesday night, every third Saturday of the month, and her and daddy been married 45 years. My dad is a polar opposite. Loves cold beer and whiskey, rides a Harley, drives a semi-truck, knows every word and makes up some. But there's this old preacher, Don Curtis, I always respected when I was a kid. He was just like a real old-fashioned hellfire and brimstone Southern preacher, and I think it was him we was talking to outside church steps. He just quoted a verse. They say he'd never been on an airplane. It's like, Brother Curtis, why won't you get on an airplane? And he said, the Lord said, lo, I be with you always. Except for he just spelt it L-O instead of L-O-W. I like that. But I've been really thinking about it. My buddy Dan Couch, his son he went to Air Force Academy, and he's in I think Mississippi right now, working on getting I think he's working his way up to being a fighter pilot or something, and so he's got his license now. He's going out and doing jumps, and he talked his dad and sisters and everybody into going jumping, and Dan said it was incredible.
I'll go again if someone I love really, really wants to go.
Yeah. Do you love me? I really do. I want to do it, man. It's like, Mama didn't raise no bitch, but I'm like, it's like, it's perfectly good airplane.
You have 55 seconds to save your life.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You're jumping out, and if you jump out at 13,000 foot, which is about where every civilian skydive drop zone will drop you, right around 12.5. You have about 55 seconds before you impact the earth. So, but your first time out, you're going to go with a tandem guy, and he's going to go out and he sets drone right away, and it's just a relaxing
So wait,
fall.
It's only a minute from 12,500 feet to the ground without the chute.
Yep.
So if you're pulling, how long do you have until you pull?
It depends on, of course, what altitude you pull at, right?
Okay, so at 12.5.
12.5, typically, if you go out for a leisure skydive, you're going to pull somewhere around probably $5,000 or 5,000 foot.
Yeah, wow. So you're only falling for maybe 15 seconds.
No.
20 seconds.
You'll get it. Maybe it's 50 seconds till 5,000 foot.
Okay, so you get about a minute in the air
now that
before
I think
you
about
pull.
it. Yeah, because I remember, you have to log your free fall time and your jump log and everything. And if you jump at 13 and you pull around 5 or 4, it's always around 50 seconds.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
but then how long does it typically take you from $5,000 to the ground with the parachute? So I've heard that's the most peaceful time in the world.
It is, and it's super cool.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things that can make it not cool really quick. But you have a couple minutes, and it all depends. When I say a couple minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it all just depends on the size of your parachute, and what the winds are doing and everything like that. There's a lot of, environmental factors that come into play. But the main one, it depends on the size of your parachute, how quickly you descend. But we typically use really big parachutes, so we can carry gear and all that stuff.
Of course.
And a lot of times we'll jump at 13, let's just say practice jump or training jump at 13,000 foot. Well, we do a hop and pop. We pull as soon as you get out of the plane.
Yeah.
So the lead jumper goes out, and he'll do like a 3, maybe a 4 count. It's like a 1,000, 2, 1,000, look 1,000, pull 1,000. And then everyone else will do the same thing, but the lead jumper will just do a slower count.
Okay.
I was always lead jumper, and I just jumped out. 1,000, 2, 1,000, look 1,000, pull 1,000, right? So then you pull right away, and then you're under canopy at like 12,000 foot, right? And then you have a long time before you hit the ground, because what we try to do is cover as much ground as possible.
Were you trying to see what
canopy.
You might have to endure once you land or something, or navigate? You're trying to see what you got to navigate once you land?
You have electronics on your chest. You flip down. You have your GPS. You have your ground, or what's it, air to ground ratio, flight to ground ratio. So how fast you're moving over the ground. You have your distance to where you want to land. So then you know if you're going to make it or not. Like unfortunately, if you jump and you have a big headwind, you're going to know pretty early if you're not going to make it to where you want to land. So then you have to pick an alternate landing zone. But then you also have to worry about the 20 guys behind you. You have to get all of them there safe as well. So we all jump in a stack, it's called. So it's like, here's a parachute, here's one, here's one, here's one.
Just stair step.
Yep,
kinda.
exactly.
Gotcha.
And but for noise signature and everything like that, that's why you want to jump as far as way as you can.
Yeah.
And then cover all that distance under canopy and then land.
Well, it helps you. I would say the longer you're gliding, the more accurate you can be with your LZ, I guess. Or
yes, it's easier. I mean, if it depends on the distance, right?
Well, and the wind and everything. There's a lot of variables.
It's fun to push the distance. Like if everything goes perfect, we'll get there.
Huh.
But if not, then we have to pick alternate DZs, and that's the fun part of training.
Just hope there ain't no bad guys between you and where you need to be.
Or planes.
Man. Yeah, or planes. Shit, I didn't even think about that. Oh no.
Yeah.
God.
But yeah,
it's hard to get away from a plane probably in a parachute.
I mean,
cut it. Sorry,
yeah,
I just blew your ears out probably there.
That's the best thing to do is to I've never been in this predicament, but you have to release what's called your RSL, and that's reserve safety lock, maybe something like that. So that way, when you cut your parachute away, because when you cut your main parachute away, your reserve automatically deploys.
Oh, okay.
So to keep that from happening, you have to release.
You don't have to pull again.
You have to. Yeah, correct. You're not. Theoretically, if you cut away your main parachute, you don't have to pull your reserve,
okay.
Right? It's automatically going to happen, but you go through that process anyway. But if you unhook your RSL, you cut away your main, then you're back in free fall. Then you have to actively pull your reserve. I've never had a cutaway.
You only have one reserve?
Yeah.
Damn, it's only two chances.
2 shots, but
oh man,
don't fuck it up.
don't know if you're talking me out of it.
Yeah,
don't know if I want to do that.
But it is pretty, like a sunrise or sunset jump. Those are always beautiful. Yeah.
Oh man, golly.
We started doing all our jumps. We'd start at like 3 a.m. So we'd do our night jumps first into day. And then we'd stop jumping around 11 or noon when the wind started picking up. But that's the calmest part of the day is 2, 3 a.m. And so we'd show up and
I had a buddy here a while back. He was doing some training with some guys, and he sent me a video from the air while he was right before he landed. I was like, because I was trying to holler at him, and he sends me a video. I was like, sorry, man, I'm kind of busy. I'm like, oh, shit. All right. Cool.
I've seen some amazing peaks of performance when things are going bad for guys under canopy and guys saving their own lives in predicaments where I didn't think they were going to.
Yeah.
Just kept their shit together.
Shit got wadded up, Or...
Yeah. One of my dear friends, he had bow shoots deploy, right, which isn't that bad.
It sounds like it'd be a disaster. Shit get tangled up.
You can you want to put them in a biplane and/or you want them in front of each other or side to side.
Okay.
So if they're next to each other, you just got to hold them together.
Yeah.
Well, something happened and they separated. And once they separate and you have a shoot at your feet and a shoot at your head, it puts you in a downward spiral facing the ground. Oh. And it's extremely hard to get out of. And if you cut one away, then you just integral your other one and up into that, right? Somehow he was able to bring them both back together. And then I'm talking to him the whole time over comms, right? I'm watching it, I'm talking to him, and he put them both back together. Then I told him, I'm like, hey, let's just ride it. You got them together, hold them together. Let's ride this to the ground. We'll all get behind you. And broke a medic off towards him and a comms guy off towards him. And then the rest of us are floating up here. But I wanted them with him in case, something happened when he landed. You have someone that can communicate with everybody and someone that can take care of him. And so I'm talking to him like, hey, you're going to land it with both shoots. Yeah. And then I just watch one disappear. He cut it away. Well, when he was unfucking everything, he took off his helmet and took off his comms and hooked him into his D-ring. Me personally, if I'm in that situation, I'm taking shit off and I'm just throwing it. Like but he was a new guy at the time, so he's like,
he didn't want to get in trouble.
I don't want to get in trouble for losing shit, And
I've been like, the hell with this shit.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, why do you still have everything?
I'll take a bitch. I'll be all right.
But he had the cognitive ability to unhook all his stuff, hook it to his D-ring, save his own life, and then cut his main parachute away and land on his reserve.
That's insane.
And he's like, sorry, I didn't listen. I'm like, I told you not to cut it away. He's like, well, I had taken my comms off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why'd you do that? He's like, well, when I took my helmet off, I'm like, you just took your helmet off and hooked it in your D-ring when you're falling to your... to the ground, to your death essentially. But yeah, it's an interesting. It could be real fun. It could be, of course, really dangerous.
Well, maybe one of these days I'll go. I don't know. Sorry to ask you so many questions, man. It's like I'm genuinely interested.
It's completely fine. What's up, guys? Sam Mackey here. I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Spartan Forge. Spartan Forge has no doubt made me a more effective and efficient hunter. Spartan Forge was founded by former U.S. Special Operations Intelligence Officer Bill Thompson, who took his 21 years of military experience fighting the global war on terror and applied his learnings to his true love, whitetail hunting. My favorite feature on the Spartan Forge app is the LiDAR for finding draws and funnels. It also has an AI deer movement prediction tool, so you know when and where to go. It has historical wind plots for selecting stand locations, and Cyber Scout for just about anything else I need to know. Spartan Forge, a veteran-owned and operated American mapping and scouting company. Use promo code OUTSIDER20 to save 20% on a premium membership to Spartan Forge. That's OUTSIDER20, OUTSIDER20. This episode is brought to you by Code Blue Scents. Code Blue's famous from one deer to one bottle collection process is a breakthrough technique that guarantees the certified deer urine comes from a single deer rather than several, producing the purest, most potent scents. Check out Decode Unscented Field Spray. Their unscented field spray is specially formulated with medical-grade nano-silver particles to eliminate human odors. Easily suppress scents from pets, smoke, exhaust, and your own natural smell before entering the woods. Also, check out their new scent and scent elimination products. Check out PST, Pure Estrus Aerosol Spray. Irresistible doe estrus, now in a convenient, easy-to-use aerosol spray. This new formula allows you to apply the scent in short bursts with precision and zero mess. Simply spray it on branches, leaves, and more for maximum impact as you make your way to your hunting spot. Also check out Decode, Unscented Hair and Body Foam. This unscented, long-lasting hair and body foam is a perfect final step in your hunting prep. Just a few pumps distributed on your scalp and any other exposed skin rids away any unwanted traces of sweat and odor, giving you the competitive edge to go undetected by deer. Visit www.codebluescents.com and use promo code OUTSIDER15, that is OUTSIDER15, to receive 15% off all Code Blue products. Multiple uses okay, cannot be combined with other promotions. When did you get into music?
Dude, oh man. So, Mama says I was born on Sunday, and the next one she had me held tightly beside the Heavenly Highway hymns is what I always tell everybody.
All right.
So in church, so born Sunday, next Sunday I'm in church. Mama was a singer. She sang a lot of gospel music in church, and then I get home from church, and Daddy was always getting a little bit of a buzz and drinking some beer, working on one of his semi trucks or some, rattle can painting some old pickup truck he gave $1,000 for or something. So I go hang out with him in the driveway and listen to a lot of, Steve Earle, John Fogerty, Leonard Skinner, Otis Redding. Like he just loved all kinds of different music. So from a young age, I started singing in church when I was probably 6 or 7. My brother and my sister were in a bad car wreck, and my brother had a song he used to sing, but he was in a coma for a little while and long rehabilitation. And so I took over a song that he used to sing, and that was the first time singing in front of anybody. And then, as I grew up, bands, starting around 13 or 14 years old, I was in kind of like some like emo punk rock bands with some buddies and stuff. And then moved to Tennessee for a little while, worked, got more involved in church, was actually an evangelist preacher for a little while, for a couple of years. And then I got out of that because I kind of felt like a little bit of a caged animal. Still a believer. I don't use the word Christian too much because that means Christ-like, and I'm far from that. But still a believer, and just try to live by my convictions. But I
really like Jelly Roll's approach on religion.
Yeah, it's some people. There's a lot of different ways of thinking about it, man. Some people call it easy believism. I just try to have a personal relationship, and if I do something and I feel convicted over it, then I try not to do that again. I fail a lot at that, but if I do something and I feel like I'm blessed for doing it, then I try to do that as often as I possibly can. So I think that we get too wrapped up in tradition and what people think how people think we should handle our relationship with God, and I just try to have my own, and it ain't nobody else's business.
Yep.
I was like, I'll talk, and I'll talk about my relationship and my beliefs, but it's not to try to push the way that I believe on anybody or anything. I would love if people believed the way I did, because I'd love to see everybody up there one day, but yeah, I did that for a couple of years, and then went to college. I had a little band called 88 that I started with a couple of buddies of mine. We were all born in 88, and we rehearsed in this garage at my buddy Patty's house on Highway 88. So
there you go.
It all kind of came together. Then, there was a lot of drugs involved. I didn't sell to a cop, but I sold to a snitch.
Yeah.
And it was the same difference. So I got in a little trouble myself, but I think I was 21 or 22 when that happened. I was back and forth, party drugs. I always had one rule, is like no needles. But if I could put it up my nose or in my lungs, I'd do it, buddy. There's pretty much nothing I ain't tried, once or 10 times if I liked it. But through all that, music kind of became associated with that lifestyle for me. When I was living in college town, I went to Western Kentucky University for a while. But I met my wife at a big turning point in my life, and kind of when I met her, she was waitress at this sports bar I'd go play pool at. Usually you could find a good game there, or you could find some fraternity brothers that had some money to lose and buy a beer for you if you was a better player than them.
There you go.
So I like that, and I met her, and she kind of acted like her body language suggested she might be interested in me one day. And I just remember going home, and I was living in this little townhouse, and I just remember I went in to use the bathroom, and I was washing my hands, and I looked up in the mirror, and I was like, man, I think I really like this girl. I was like, I barely know her, but I was like, she doesn't seem like the kind of girl that's going to go for this, So I just cut it all off right there, and I went and got a job at that sports bar, found out she was dating the kitchen manager, A few months went by. I was a kitchen manager for one night because I can't do that shit. I'm too scatterbrained. But I was a kitchen manager, and she was my girl. And then we got married. We moved to her hometown. I put my guitar in the closet. I didn't touch it for 3 years.
Really?
Yeah. I was 24 then, I believe. And then
you just want to put your nose to the grindstone and start a family and do the traditional way?
For me, it was like I was just pretty lost, man. Yeah. And I was like, music had always been a dream. I had two dreams as a kid. It was like music and building hot rod cars.
Yeah.
And some of my biggest heroes were Keith Richards and Steve Earle and John Fogerty and all that, but also some Boyd Coddington and Troy Trepanier, and I think I said his name right. He's got a weird last name, but Rad Rides by Troy. Those guys were my heroes too. They built cars, and I was like, I just didn't know what to do. I grew up, we wasn't dirt floor poor, but we was close at times, and I just was lost. And so I went to work. I was building pole barns, and I was going to this little community college thing just to try to educate myself in carpentry and get a better grip on that. And I was just going to hit the workforce, and that didn't pan out because I can't walk the lad. You know what the lad is?
No.
So when you're building a pole barn, you got your trusses, and then you'll run like one bys, perpendicular to your trusses.
Yep.
And those guys that build them pole barns, they'll get up there and walk that with nothing underneath them, no harness, no nothing. And I've never really been scared of heights. I've worked on grain elevators. Yep. I've worked high before, not just high on drugs, but I've worked high. I've worked elevated before. But I just couldn't do it. And I told my boss, I said, man, I'm sorry, but if that's all you got for me to do, I might as well just send me home. I can't do it. I don't want to waste your time. So he put me on the ground for a little while. But anyways, I just bounced around, worked at a mill for a while, worked for my father-in-law, cutting trees, spraying power line right-of-ways. And then I just, I was like, well, I'm going to try this. At this time, I'm working pipeline construction in southern Alabama. I had this awesome foreman, Steve Rich, And he was always telling me, man, you need to get out here, you need to go do something with music. And I just remember getting pissed off on a job site one day and throwing my shovel and being like, I'm out of here. I'm going to go do something I'm going to go start a band, do American Idol. I don't care, whatever it is. I just want to do something with music. And he's like, I've been waiting for you to say that. Good luck. Get the hell out of here. So I went to work for my buddy's dad that had a production company. And we just go around and set up stages, run sound and lights for fairs and festivals around Kentucky and the surrounding area. So it was like my first foot in the door in the music industry. Pro Video Audio Productions.
There you go.
Shameless plug there. But then sure enough, I got the opportunity to try out for American Idol through this awesome lady who's just been an angel to me in Nashville, Precious Harris. She hooked me up with it. So I go and I do the tryout, and they told me no, and I was walking out the door, and they was like, come back. And they told me yes, and then I went and seen the actual judges in Little Rock, Arkansas. Did that. I don't usually tell this part of the story, but I'm growing more comfortable with it because I don't know. I'm not a fan of those TV shows. Now that I was very green then, and I was super excited, but I feel like they used to really help people out, and it seems like these days they just help out the judges and the people who own the shows, But I went and did the show, and the thing that I gained from that, it didn't do anything really for my career. Most people have no idea I was even ever on the show. I was on it for 4 rounds. But Keith Urban really kind of stuck with me because his response the first time I sang in front of him was kind of like, so what, brother? You can sing, But and then like he enjoyed my voice and everything, but he was like, you got to be able to do a lot more than just sing, And up to that point, I was just been the boy in small town Kentucky that one of 2 or 3 of us that could pick up a guitar and entertain people at a party or something. So I'd never been looked at negatively in any way, or not necessarily negatively, but it was always the same response. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So when he did that, I was like, basically, he was like, yeah, but can you do this, and this, and be running on no sleep and entertain 20,000 people, at an arena or whatever? And I was like, I never thought of it, And then I remember I was singing on stage in Hollywood at Dolby Theater. I was singing "Long as I Can See the Light" by Creedence Clearwater Revival, and
Great song.
I love that song, yeah. And I'm singing it. I'm looking down, and I'm watching Keith, and stuff he had said was sticking with me. And I'm singing a song, but all I can think about is stuff he said. And then it came to me. I was like, man, I want my heroes. I want Steve Earle. I want John Fogerty. It was like, if they ever know who I am, I want them to respect me for the way that I made it. And I felt like at that moment, I was trying to take a shortcut. And it's like, this is just my experience. So if you did the show and you don't like what I'm saying, well, sorry, but this is my experience. I was just like, I don't want to do it this way. So that night I talked to my liaison or whatever with the production crew, and I told him I wanted to leave, and he's like, no, you're good. You're doing too good. He talked me into staying. Lo and behold, the next day I went and sang, and they cut me, and then I walk out the doors, and all the cameras are in my face. I was like, you assholes just wanted the moment, know? But I didn't. They were trying to get me to boohoo, I guess, and I was like, they was like, oh, Elvie, aren't you upset? And I was like, damn. Last I checked, 10,000 people tried out, and I was one of the last 75. So I'm good. My buddy John Wayne Schultz, though, he was my roommate there, and that was the only time it kind of hit me. Is like me and him had became pretty close, and so I seen him, and that's when it got me. But that was the only reason, is I knew it's like he's from Corpus Christi, I'm from Kentucky. We probably ain't gonna see each other a whole lot more. Yeah. But I hope he's doing good down there. But yeah, I came back and I was just like, well, hell, I'm getting my timeline's a little screwed up here, because when I got back, I was still working at the mill, I believe, and I was just like, well, hell, I don't want to go back to working at a mill. I just sang at Dolby Theater. Yeah. So I started coming to Nashville with some friends of my wife. And writing, and there's so much more to that story, little bits and pieces. But basically, I came here when I was 27 years old, and I had there was this amazing couple that had been pretty successful in their life and helped me financially for about 1.5 years, and until I got my publishing deal, and then we were able to break off that financial support for the most part there. I was able to start kind of integrating myself into Nashville. And so almost 10 years now. I'm 36.
When did you write, or when your writing began, when did you know that, like, all right, this one could be a hit? Do you feel that way about a lot of songs, or do you, when you write a song that that you know is going to be a hit, you know it right away?
I mean, I only know one thing right away, whether or not I can make somebody feel something with a song. Because if it makes me feel, it's like there's this one feeling that I get, and it doesn't matter if it's a song like My Boy, the one we had the most success with, or a song like What Do I Know, which is kind of one we've been sticking on right now.
That's a good one.
It's, different songs, but it's like there's a similar feeling that I get when we write. It's like I know if I sing this song, I believe I can,
Create the emotional,
evoke that emotion, and other people. I've never really once remember thinking about if it's going to be a hit or not. When I wrote My Boy, I wasn't thinking about a hit. It was just me and 3 of my buddies hanging out on the back porch, and we were just trying to write a good song and tell the truth,
Did you adopt a child? Where did the inspiration from that song come
not
from?
on paperwork, but when I met my wife, she had a 5-year-old little boy that she had when she was 20. And so I came into his life at 5, and he's on his way down here today. He's 18 now. So, damn, that's wild.
Yeah.
18, and I got an 18-year-old and a 3-year-old now. So my biological daughter, ZJ, she's 3. He's 18. I almost had him out of the house and got too excited one night. You know how that happens.
Just one. I'm right there with you. I'm just one good night away from another kid.
but man, he's been a big. I've slipped and fallen into old habits along the way in my marriage with Mandy, but I truly believe that coming into that situation saved my life at the time.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wasn't underneath the bridge with a needle on my arm, but I doing some risky shit.
Yeah.
And I found a lot of purpose in there, and have I made the mistakes? Like you come in, especially you coming into a 5-year-old's life, and they have they kind of have a family dynamic already built around them and everything, and you come in and you find the things that you don't like about how this goes, and you think you're going to ride in on your white horse and fix these things, but they don't need fixing. I believe your job is to just. I've discovered that I would have been a lot more successful parent to my boy if I would have just focused on being there, just being there. Not physically being there, but not trying to adjust this or punish that, or but just like be there and try to guide as well as I knew possible. And maybe I did do that, I got another chance with my daughter to do better, and hopefully I didn't do too bad of a job with my boy.
Have you guys talked about that?
Yeah, we talked about it.
It's a tough conversation.
Yeah, not really. He's a pretty level-headed kid, and it's like we've. Especially, my hopes is just that as he gets older, he'll be able to look back and maybe have a little bit of empathy on certain things and understand and appreciate, I think we all go through that with our fathers, but also we get to a point where you realize that your parents aren't, they're not superheroes too. Yeah. And that can be a hard time in life too, Definitely, I think that starts happening around 30 years old.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, damn. You see these things, and you try to make different decisions than the ones you felt like they made that were wrong. And it's like, and then sometimes you make those decisions, and you feel like you did a better job, and you're like, well, why didn't they do it this way? And because this thing affected me when I was in my childhood. So, parenting and being a kid and being a parent, man, it's a wild ride.
I have 3 little girls.
Oh my God, dude, you're screwed.
They're the light of my life. I could not.
How old are they?
4, 6, and 8.
Oh my God, you're still fun right now.
They're my world, man.
I think you'll be all right though. I mean, you've got the history. Like the boys that come around are probably gonna be like, yeah, I'll probably be good.
This is the way I look at it, man. I've done just about every bad thing there is out there to do. And I think this. If a girl knows that her dad loves them more than anybody else in the world,
Yeah.
they'll be just fine.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, if
I
they have
believe
that
that too.
father's love.
Yeah.
They're human. They're going to make mistakes just like I am.
Yeah,
And I'm not going to sit back and be like, oh, my daughter would never do this. My daughter would never.
Yeah.
No, they're human beings, right? But one thing I want them to know is that no matter what they do, they can come to me.
Yeah, man, I've thought about it a lot with my little girl, especially because it's like that's so alien to me and you, obviously, you know. But I'm like, you know, I'm trying to make the decision that I'm gonna treat her the same way I did my boy. It's like
I'm right
the
there with
same
you.
freedoms and everything. It's like the problem is when it's a little girl, especially when you get older. The biggest fear I think for a father with a little girl is, you know, when they get of age and the dating starts and the chance of sex starts and all that stuff. And it's like, that's the biggest worry for a father, is like, because the girl is the one that has to, you know, if that mistake ever is made, then they're the one that has to go through this. And it's easy for a guy to walk away, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you just said. But I think if you're worrying about it when they're of age, you're already too far behind the power curve.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you instill that love and that trust and that relationship throughout their whole life, it's going to help prevent, you know, those big mistakes. Are they going to make mistakes? Yeah.
It'll help prevent, you know, and there's still always a possibility that it could be a thing. You just need, and you also need to take that time as they're growing up to prepare, you know, prepare yourself for, you know, and know how you're going to respond, you know, if certain things or any other things you can think of happen. Like, are you going to continue to be a safe place where your daughter can come, or are you going to lose your mind and, you know, you know, so it's, luckily we got a lot of time to think about those kind of things. But,
I know.
But yeah, man, having a little girl has been such an amazing and beautiful thing to experience. It's like,
they make you soft.
Dude, with a little boy, it's like you got, you know, it's like, we're kind of old school, you know, make them tough, you know, whatever. But with a little girl, it's like, I want her to be tough too. Like, I roughhouse her just like I would a little boy. But
I'm the same way. I don't have a boy, but I'm willing to guess, you know, would I be a little harder on a boy as they got older? When I say older, like 6, 8, yes, right?
Probably, yeah.
But holistically, would I raise them the same? I roughhouse with my kids. We wrestle all the time, right? And now I'm starting to see it, you know, they're not afraid to hit. They're not afraid to get hit. And sometimes it causes them a little trouble. We have to go talk to some neighbor parents. But but for the most part, you know, I think they're going to be tough girls. Yeah. You know, and that's my goal. So we're getting there. Sometimes my own mama thinks I take it a little too far.
Girls need to be tough right now, man. I mean, it's like, it's
I'm just not raising victims.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, you just got to, my thing is when ZJ's probably 5 is when I'll probably start getting her into some kind of martial art, jiu-jitsu or something like that. Just to have some structure and stuff. I just never really had any structure in my life. I feel like that's something I want to try to offer my kids. And it wasn't my parents' fault. It's just like we had some shitty things happen that kind of screwed things up. But
yeah, I didn't have much structure growing up.
Yeah, so you know, but they do need to be tough, man. I don't know where the world's going. And I'm not like a big doom and gloom guy. Like we're headed for
me neither.
You know, all destruction. I think
honestly
we live in the best time in history right now, and it's like little shit gets blowed up because we keep our faces in our phones last night. I mean, last night, dude, I'm pretty central political. I don't lean one way or the other. I don't advocate for any candidate over another candidate. I believe that for the most part, DC stands for don't care when it comes to working class people. And but last night even I was like, I get on and some girl had left a comment on them. I did pick it was a weird day, I guess, to post this, but I had a red hat that had white letters on it that said, "Can't please them all." And I didn't even think anything about it. I posted it the day after the election. Yeah. And I just was being berated by this woman. And I was like, I'm like, this didn't have shit to do with the election. I was like, I got some stuff going on in my life right now that a few people know about. And I seen that hat and I was like, yeah, I feel that right now. It's like, you got to please yourself. I even put that song on the background. Can't please everyone, so you got to please yourself. And dude, they just attacked me. And I was like, I literally try to stay neutral and not even voice my opinions on politics. I keep my politics in the fucking box, man. And I do my work right there. And it's like sometimes you get the results you don't want, sometimes you get the results you do want, you know, and it's like either way we're stuck with it, right? So it's like best thing to do is for, you know, if you're believers, pray for whoever's in there, do your thing, you know, wake up every morning, be who you are, be good to people, do your work, take care of you and your own. That's all we have control over.
Yeah, it's a fact.
That's it. So, but I don't even know what led me there, but it was just like, I was like, God dang, I can't even wear a hat with white lettering on it, you know? So it's like, the world's just getting crazy, man. And for girls. And it's like, they need to be tough.
You know, you talked about when you write songs, creating that emotional response. And with My Boy, you definitely do that. And I was going through your Instagram yesterday, and I see all these videos that, you know, that parents have posted with their adopted child and playing your song. And you want to talk about some tear jerkers. Like, I don't know if there's any other songs out there that touch on this subject, but yours is by far the most well-known. And I think it's a cool thing. Maybe I think it's extra cool because we've looked at adopting kids before. Yeah. I was on a deployment, and I was, you know, my wife and I were talking about it. Then I signed up, you know, went through the initial steps and was able to, I'm going to call it, you know, you look at, it's almost like a Facebook page for a child when you're on there. And man, it is the saddest thing I've ever. I'm like, I wish I could adopt all these kids. You know, do I have the ability to love all these kids? Yeah, you know, and
I see that.
So I think it's super cool. I thought it was super, super cool to go through your Instagram and see these videos of how your song affected, you know, or touched these families. And there was a quote on one of the pictures is like, you know, something to the effect of everyone has the ability to create a family, you know, but your family's yours, or something of that nature. And I thought it was, I think all that stuff is just so cool.
There's an old deep cut in an old country record. It says, "Blood's thicker than water, but love's thicker than blood." And, you know, that always really stuck with me. And I always wanted to be a dad, man. So it was like when I met Mandy and found out she had a 5-year-old little boy, I was even more attracted to her, you know. But it was amazing to see how much that touched people, and the people use it for wedding songs and everything. So that song's been a huge blessing. It's also been a huge curse, like trying to, because a lot of the other music is, you know, very different. And some people would say when we started coming out with our other stuff that there was no common thread, and like for me the common thread is that it's just all honest to me, you know. From My Boy to there's a song about the meth epidemic, which I was a part of in my early 20s, called Appalachian Alchemy on my second record. And it's like the common thread is that I'm singing about stuff I know about, you know. But it's been kind of hard, it seems like, to take people who are My Boy fans and make them, you know, not to Garth Brooks everybody, and do the third person thing here, but make them Elvie Shane fans, you know. I've just been trying to work that. And so and also like these days, I mean, obviously you guys, you get it, the social media thing is, but it just takes such a toll on you too, like trying to build something on social media. And I hate it. I hate social media, man.
It is difficult.
It is, and it's just like every day. There's a girl that plays a lot downtown and stuff, Jordan Rayner, and seen a post she put out here a while back. She's talking about you buy the camera, you do the work, you put in the pre-production, you think about it, you make an awesome video, you put it on socials, and you're like, this is going to be the one, and then nothing, you know, and it's like over and over for months, for years, maybe it never happens. So. My next year, dude, I'm just going back old school. I'm gonna hit as many clubs as I can.
Really?
And I'm gonna try to do a hybrid thing where I'll get on socials and like talk about how we're trying to do things grassroots, and you know, kind of use social media and not use social media at the same time. Obviously, you want people to be able to know you're playing here or there, but I refuse to believe that, you know, consistent hard work is null and void now, you know, over shortcuts in social media. I just refuse to believe it. So hopefully next year, you know, we can get out and bang out like 80 to 100 club shows. And I'm talking like 150 cap rooms to 500 cap rooms. I want to hit small rooms.
Really?
Yeah. I played the basement, and and here in Nashville, the OG basement they call it on 8th Ave, or off of 8th Avenue. We sold 101 tickets that night, and the majority of the people I talked to in that building had seen us in a small club. And there was a dude that drove 7 hours on a Monday. He drove 7 hours to come up and see us. There was people from Indianapolis, from South Carolina, from Ohio, and it's like, this is proof enough to me. Okay, cool. It's 101 people. I'm not selling out to Ryman or anything right now. But it's like, if this worked, well then Noah's Ark, baby, 2 by 2. They'll tell 2 people. They'll come next time with them. So it's a longer, harder road. What was it? I posted this last night on socials. It said, I think it's on my story. Let me pull it out here. I love this quote. I don't know who said it, but I just came across it. Like God's been giving me little nuggets here and there, I feel like, since last week when I had to make some really hard decisions. But yeah, grow fast, built to crash. Grow slow, built to last.
I saw that on your Facebook.
I like
that
that, man. Yeah. You probably seen the rest of my story last night then too.
I did.
You seen where I was a little frustrated, but I was just laying there. I was reading Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm minding my own business. I grabbed my phone because it goes off, and I got sucked into the trap for a second, And I look, and I was like, what the hell did she say to me? I was like, you don't know me, fool.
It's so hard not to respond, because I see, we'll post things on social media, and I'm loyal to a fault at times. And someone will say something about Jay. No one says anything about me because I'm nobody, but everyone knows Jay. And they'll say something. I'm like, man, I just want to, I want to go knock on this dude's door.
Yeah.
Like, who are you? Like, what gives you the right to, say something? Of course, I would, never do that, but it just, like, you're just a keyboard warrior. If you're in the same room, I call it the elevator rule, right? You're stuck on an elevator with somebody, or you're in an elevator and it's stuck in twin floors. You never say something to someone that you would not say in that
I like
circumstance.
that. Daddy always there's a name for people like that in the trucking industry. They're called CB Rambos.
I like that.
You get on CB and talk some mad shit, but they won't do nothing when you see them at the truck
the
stop.
lot lizards.
So just social media Rambos, man. Twitter Rambos.
CB Rambos.
But the thing is like you said, what gives you the right is the awesome thing is that they do have the right to say it,
Absolutely.
It's like, and I started with the response last night. It was like, you can't do this or you can't do that. And I was like, actually, you can. You can say whatever the hell you want to. I can respond. I'm not going to tell you can't do that. But if you notice, I said at the end of that, I was like, please don't put this shit on I'm asking you now. I'm not telling you. You're free to do it.
Yeah.
But I'd appreciate it if you keep me out of it, you know? And so I'm trying to just wrap my head around, because everybody's talking about, well, we've lost this freedom, or we don't have this freedom. It's like, I still feel like I've got the freedoms that I've always had, I just got to put up with a little bit more bullshit these days when I use some of them, But I've been really trying to really understand freedom, and I've been trying to, also on the religious side of things, is like, if you believe in free will, and it's like, so I've really been struggling with, I obviously have knee-jerk reactions to things because of the way I was raised and everything, but maybe it's just getting older. Maybe it's being around the world more and meeting people from different walks of life and not with my same religious views or upbringing. But I'm like, okay, so if we got free will, then and we're supposed to have freedom, it's like, we can disagree with whatever this person's doing, but they should have the free will and freedom to be able to make those choices and do that. And I'm finding myself in a very very odd place in my life and age and everything, of like trying to really, I'm kind of like readjusting my beliefs maybe, or just trying to understand my beliefs instead of just like going solely on, I believe this because this is what I've always been taught or what I've always heard. I mean, it's been interesting. It's been frustrating. It's been,
I think, because I feel a lot of the same things. I think most people do as they age. And I think that transition moment is where you're building your wisdom. right?
Trying.
You're opening up your lens. You're looking at things. You're creating new lenses, looking at things through different angles at different lenses, and taking it for what it is, and not letting it affect you emotionally. And you're learning from it.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's part of creating wisdom.
I've thought of a lot of the word meek a lot over the last few years, and I can't remember. It might have been on a Rogan podcast or something. Somebody was talking about what meek actually means. And when I was growing up and we were singing, I am meek and lowly, to me it always sounded, meek sounds a lot like weak,
Meek and mild. That's
to be
Christmas
meek and mild is like, to me, it always just sounded like, well, to be meek is to submit and to be weak. But then I heard one day, it was like, I don't remember if it was Rogan podcast, somebody was talking, it was some podcast. It was like, no, to be meek means you know how to use your sword, but you keep it in the sheath. And that just really stuck with me. I was like,
sounds like something Jordan Peterson would say.
Maybe so. So. I went and watched Jordan speak at the Palace in Louisville.
Oh, really?
Have you ever been to Palace in Louisville?
No, I haven't.
It is the most beautiful theater in the United States of America. It's incredible, man. There's not a square inch of this place that doesn't have attention to detail in it.
How was it listening to Jordan Peterson?
It was great. I love how he'll just kind of like, he's just walking around talking and thinking out loud, and there's plenty of stuff he says that I'm like, okay, whatever. But there's, you get a little nuggets here and there too. At that time, he was talking. He just decided that night he was going to talk about marriage and partnership, and I can't remember like any like one thing that really stuck out to me from the talk. But I remember, there's been things that have kind of subliminally worked themselves through me. My wife's probably watching this thinking you're full of shit, buddy. but no, I'm just like, I remember, just leaving there and being like, I need to work on these things. But it also, he was talking about marriage, but it also like caused me to think about things with business partnerships that I had a lot differently too. So, I think he's smart. I mean, obviously he's a brilliant guy, and it's like, and I think he should be free to have his ideas, and we should be free to agree or disagree with them.
Absolutely,
and that should be just how it is, man. Yeah. It's like, dude, I've always said I want to create a culture. It's so weird. Like it seems almost harder these days to stand in the middle, to have a stance somewhere in the middle than it does to have a stance over here or over here, because over here you can get this crew behind you. Over here you can get this crew behind you. But I've always said I want to create a place where I can see my biggest redneck buddy standing in the crowd with somebody with green hair and piercings all over the face, and they're both having a good time. And it's like,
that petri dish is called the United States military.
Yeah, maybe so. But
I think it's hilarious. You're around a military base and you're out in town and you see a guy, and obviously all 5 of these guys are from 5 different walks of life.
Yeah,
they're all dressed different, they all look different, but shit, they became friends over the course of the last 4 or 6 months, or more so.
Yeah,
and I think it's very cool to see.
It don't matter who you think the best candidate is for presidency when you got bullets flying over your heads. I would imagine. You just got to take care of each other.
As you get older, you start to think about those type of things. Because you deal with politics, you deal with the Joint Chiefs of Staffs, you're dealing with a lot of attorneys and things of that nature. But when you're young, I give 2 shits. Like,
obviously,
I'll go to war with Canada over maple syrup. Like, well, I just want to fight. Like, let's go.
I guess I didn't really start thinking about things until the last 3 or 4 years. I'm 36 years old now. I got an 18-year-old son. I'm thinking about what's going to happen for him. Is there a chance that he might have to do something? I got a 3-year-old little girl. I'm thinking, well, what's the future going to look like for her? So I think it's just natural with age, and so it's weird that I've been mostly conservative most of my life, but I'm like, now I'm just like trying to make sure that I'm creating beliefs for myself based on my life experiences and the people that I love around me and the stories that I know to be true, instead of just like whatever the hell I see on here or on TV.
Yep.
Yeah. I think a lot of times if people would just read more than they would watch videos, the world would be a better place. But sorry, I didn't even aim to get off on all this shit, but it's just, it just is
totally
what it is, man. I told somebody, I was talking on a different podcast, I think yesterday, the day before, and I was like, Man, honestly, I'm just ready to see September 12th, 2001 again. You know?
It's funny you mention that. In one of our old platoon spaces or troop spaces, there's a big quote on the wall under American flag, and it says, I believe it said, today is September 12th, 2001.
Yeah.
Or every day is September 12th.
Should be, yeah.
Something of that nature. And because, people our age, I'm 40, and we remember that day.
Yeah.
And how unified the country
class, man.
was.
Yeah.
It didn't matter where you're from, what you believed in. You were an American that day above anything else.
Yeah.
And that was so cool.
It was one of the most amazing days politically for the political climate in our country that I will ever probably remember.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredible, man.
Yeah.
It was like nobody gave a shit who you were, where you're from, what you believed, who you thought should be president. Nothing.
People helping people.
You just were in there moving rubble.
Yeah.
If you were able to be there.
Yeah. It was a beautiful thing.
It was, man. Maybe we can get back there one day. I hope.
It'd be hard to do without another travesty. Unfortunately, I think.
I know that was a very unfortunate
I don't want
fact.
that to happen.
I don't either. But
I do have a favor to ask.
Yeah, sure.
So I've wanted a guitar in here for a long time.
Yeah.
My brother sent me this guitar a long time ago, and it's out of tune. And I was wondering if you'd give it a little shot and play a little ditty.
I can. Can I take a short break and go
take
use
a piss
the bathroom?
break. Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So, I'll just we were talking about what do I know earlier. I'll just play it. I think a red lipstick on a woman's lips looks sexy. I think Coke's okay, but it's way damn better with Jack. I think the outlaws, Waylon and Johnny, are gone forever. And I think Jesus, he's coming back. Oh, but what do I know? What do I know? Yeah, I'm just a hard-working, beer-drinking son of an average Joe. Like to think there ain't nothing that I can't fix with a hammer and a crescent wrench. Oh, but what do I know? What do I know? What do I know? What do I know? I think the six string's still the best way to tell a story. And that front porch stand's the best place for smoke. I think the moonlight is the best night life for lovers. Yeah, and heaven takes the good ones way too young. Oh, but what do I know? What do I know? Yeah, I'm just a hard-working, beer-drinking son of an average Joe. Like to think there ain't nothing that I can't fix with a hammer and a crescent wrench. Oh, but what do I know? What do I know? What do I know? What do I know? Yeah, I think the grudges only hurt the ones who hold them. And sometimes we could agree to disagree. And I believe we're gonna reap the seeds we're sowing. So I try to keep my head down and conscience clean. Oh, but what do I know? What do I know? Yeah, I'm just a hard-working, beer-drinking son of an average Joe. Like to think there ain't nothing that I can't fix with a hammer and a crescent wrench. Oh, but what do I know? What do I know?
Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Thanks, man.
Damn.
I appreciate it.
And thank you for tuning the old guitar. Let me throw it back in there.
I got it. No, you're good. I appreciate you, though. Yeah, man, that song, I feel like I've been pushing that song for the last few months. I feel like it's pretty poignant.
Album came out in January, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
We released a few singles before, we put the whole record out.
Yeah.
And that was one of them. And to me, it's just like, I was just trying to. It's been a while since I've been back living and working in small town, blue collar Kentucky, but I had 27 years of it under my belt, and I just felt like, I try to be pretty understanding of, like we were talking about earlier, people on both sides of the spectrum, and I did feel like people from where I come from were being a little misunderstood, and I wanted to put myself back in their shoes for that song, and just be like, I'm out here too, but what do I know, So
I think it's a great song, and you speaking earlier, and your stance on everything, like, hey, it's harder to be in the middle. It's like the old live and let live.
Yeah.
And I agree with it. There's nothing wrong with it. And I think more people should live that way.
Well, it's kind of like, I don't remember exactly how the serenity prayer goes, that they use in AA and stuff, but it's just like, God grant me the strength to change the things I can't, accept the things change the things I can, accept the things I can't, and it's like, you just need to, it's kind of ironic that's called the serenity prayer, and we just need a little serenity in life.
I agree.
I'm just ready to see people kind of just have a load off their shoulders, man. And September 12th.
Yeah, I agree. I saw you were on tour with Brantley Gilbert.
I did a few shows with Brantley over the summer.
We had him on recently. I think he could be a damn stand-up comedian.
Dude, he is hilarious. He's got some stories.
Oh,
dude.
he's telling stories about his dad.
Oh my God, yes.
He
some
is
of the best.
Hilarious.
Did he tell you the moped story?
Yes.
Oh my
a couple
God.
of them, dude.
I about died, brother. It was like, his dad and my dad would have been a freaking sight, dude. They would have been a sight. My dad, he's watering a buck deer too. But yeah, Brantley's hilarious. What a good dude. I tell you what, man, there's a lot of good crews out there on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I've never worked with a better crew, a nicer crew than Brantley Gilbert's people that are on the road with him. Everybody in that camp is solid.
He mentioned that, and I said, what do you contribute to the culture of your cohort or your community too? He's like, man, we just treat everyone how, they should be treated, or we want to be treated. Or I'm botching this, something to that effect. He's like, baby. And it just happened organically because of who we surrounded ourselves with.
And I feel like I've been very blessed in the same way as the guys that I'm on the road with are good, and they're good two people. And we had so much fun with those guys, those few shows we played. But yeah, I think they are those guys. If you look up the Golden Rule in the dictionary, there's a picture of Brantley and all his boys standing together. They're really good dudes.
That is so cool to hear. Him and I, we kept in contact, after he'd been on here. So, Brantley, congratulations on that new baby girl.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah. So
Dude delivered his baby on a tour bus? Is that what happened?
So I was messaging him. I'm like, hey, you have that baby yet? And he goes, no, not yet. We thought we were going to happen. It was going to happen last night. So we were up all night. We thought it was going to happen this morning, and it didn't. And now I got a show to play, but I have a midwife and a nanny helping mama out on the bus. And I said, well, a midwife delivered all three of my kids. And he goes, really? And at home, I said, no, in the midwifery, which, it's in part of the hospital. Yeah. It's more like a hotel room, Yeah. And I said, I have full faith and confidence in midwives. Yeah. And I said, I think you should just send it on the road. And I'm not saying, exactly what it is. Yeah. Yep. I'm not saying I had anything to do with their decision by any means, but then he had had this baby on the tour bus mid-show. I mean, that's pretty freaking cool. And he came
back out there. Yeah. That was pretty rock and roll.
Yeah, that is, right?
That's pretty rock and roll, man. That was badass. Yeah. Oh, man, yeah.
So what's next for you? What's coming up?
Man, last week, I don't want to get too much into it, but last week I made some pretty drastic changes. There's people I've worked with for a long time that we we kind of parted ways and stuff, and love those people dearly, and I know that they love and believe in me too. And I just I've been going through a lot of stuff on personal end of things, just trying to figure life out, and I felt like I just needed to kind of have a clean slate. And so right now I'm kind of in a season of figuring it out.
Yeah.
I told you I'd like to get out. I just want to go out and play clubs, and I want to downsize things. I want to play clubs, and I want to see where that takes me in the next year. And I don't know if I'm gonna put any music out anytime soon. I'm thinking maybe I might put a song or two out in spring, but I need to get to work on another project. I'm an album guy. I know that the current thing is you should be putting singles out all the time. If I want to do that, I will, but I still want to be working on it. If I'm doing that, then I might just put out some songs that I decided not to cut for the records while I'm working on my next record. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure it out, man.
I've asked a couple folks this that we've had on. Have you written a murder ballad?
I have. I wrote a really cool murder ballad last year with a few friends of mine up in Boston. And, I've thought about trying to do something with that too. So, but I've never put one out that I can remember. Well, one about my friend that's on the new record called 215634. That's his prison number.
I listened to that. So was that your dear friend from growing up?
Yeah. So he's probably my first friend. See, he lived closest to me. He was the only kid that lived closest to me back then, but he still lived like probably 3 miles the way the crow flies. And so he would ride a dirt bike or something through the hollers and come pick me up and we go hang out. But yeah, he got caught up in bad situation. And I only know his side of the story. I try to say that because when the song came out, some families of the victim weren't real happy about it. And I kind of grew up with them too. But my intent wasn't to say that this is exactly what happened, but it was just to tell it from his perspective. But yeah, allegedly, the second verse kind of says it all. From his point of view, was guy kicked in the door on him, put a gun up to him, and he, was a felon himself, but had acquired a gun. He shot and killed this man, and he couldn't claim self-defense because he was a felon in possession of a firearm. So he got reckless homicide, I believe, and doing 20 to 25. Yeah.
That's tough.
Up for parole right now. He's been good. He's been clean. Prison evidently is a hard place to stay clean.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So he's been clean. He's been programmed and hopeful right now that he'll be able to get out on parole. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I wish him the best of luck.
Yeah, man. I mean, big mistakes can be made, but I hate to see anybody's life just wither away, especially someone that, has a chance at, coming back into civilian life and making it work. I hate to see anybody's life be wasted away in a room.
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think I don't want to go in this rabbit hole, but I think our judicial system is heavily flawed, and there's a lot more to all this. Of course, there's 3 sides to every story. And if you could pay someone that can, a lawyer that can tell your side of the story to, the jury better than the other guy.
There's a lot of, it's just, it's the same problem with a lot of things. It's just too much money in the middle of all of it. There's too many ways to make money, so. It is what it is, man. But
shit, I really appreciate you coming on, my friend.
I had a great time with you, man. It's good to meet you, dude.
Where can everyone find you?
Just go on social media. I believe everything on social media, except for maybe one of my accounts, is at Elvie Shane Music, and then YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Pandora,
ElvieShaneMusic.com. You can listen to your last or new album that dropped in January.
Yeah.
Listen to it all right there. I did this morning. Great songs on there.
Thank you, man. Yeah, Damascus is the newest record, and then my debut record was called Backslider. There's always like a little bit of a kind of tip of the hat to my Baptist upbringing with the music or the projects that I'm doing, even though I am a reprobate, but I don't know, man. I feel like it's important to keep where I come from in those projects. But yeah, go check out the music, and maybe me and you still bird hunt?
Oh yeah.
You like
I
duck
hunt everything. Oh yeah.
I want to go to Arkansas to duck hunt.
Well, let's go.
I go down to Matagorda, Texas, Bay City area every year, and the last 2 years has been tough with it. The birds just ain't been there, ain't been cold enough. But
I heard that something changed their flight pattern, and even in Arkansas, they weren't that good last year. I forget who was telling me this. Shit, it was either Chase Rice or Brantley Gilbert. I thought both of us we talked with both of them about bird hunting. Or maybe it was Jay. I forget. But I've heard duck hunting has been pretty tough the last couple of years.
Sandhill crane season 2 when I'm going down there this time. I'm going in January, so I'm going to try to get ribeye in the sky again. I missed last year, so.
I do have a Sandhill crane trip booked in January with a bunch of folks because I've never eaten one.
Where are you going?
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, probably Texas.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm going to Texas for sure. Yeah. Where in Texas? I don't know.
I'll be down around Matagorda, Bay City. Again,
My buddy that planned it lives outside San Antonio.
Okay.
So
I'm not sure how close. I think San Antonio is fairly close to where I'm going, but yeah, I want to try it. I've never had it either, so hopefully I'm gonna go on a little Axis buck hunt while I'm down there too.
Those are delicious.
Yeah,
yeah. Those are
I've had
absolutely
Axis.
delicious.
It's incredible. You ever ate rattlesnake?
Yes, I have.
We're starting the podcast all over again.
That's fine.
But my buddy I was telling you about at the Junco, he hates snakes, absolutely hates them. We killed a rattlesnake and we boiled it up, fried it up, and put it in crab cakes. He showed up late that night and was like, "We got some crab cakes, and they're big fishers too, so it wouldn't have been weird for us to have some crab meat." I give him one. He's like, "Man, that's pretty good," He said, "No." I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty good. I figured you'd like a rattlesnake."
He hates them that bad.
Oh God, man, it tore him up. Dude, that rattlesnake, when we cut that rattlesnake, we had cut its head off,
Yep.
And it had been laying there for 3.5 hours.
And you grabbed it and stuff.
We went to skin it, and where its head would have been, it turned around and looked at us.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was like, "What the hell?" And it's like heart was still like pumping.
I mean, I've caught a lot of rattlesnakes, and I've and killed a bunch of rattlesnakes, and it's always so, every time it's creepy. You cut one set up. My buddy has this, he's the one who showed me how to catch them, and he'll catch them and then step on their heads and then cut their head off with a pocket knife.
Yeah.
And afterwards, what their body does, in their head, separated from their body, the head will try to bite you, and the body's acting like it still has a head on it.
It's
so
crazy
wild, man. Every time.
It's spooky, dude. It's spooky.
Yeah.
So with that, be careful around rattlesnakes. But no, man, thank you guys so much for having me.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole just a bit longer. Where'd you get that alligator? I haven't been alligator hunting before. I saw an alligator on your Instagram.
No, I was like, "How'd you know?" I just got my skin in the other day. Same place, Matagorda.
Okay.
So it was an awesome place down there called the Rusty Hook Ranch.
Okay.
My boys Wade and Jeff run it down there, and I go down I was going down with a group called Ballinger Group. They've got a bunch of Major League Baseball players, and so I'll go down, play music one night, and we hang out, drink beer, and go hunt. And they invited me last September to come down and kill an alligator. How much would it cost you to come down here and play a show for us for a benefit? And I knew it was alligator season. I said, "How many alligator tags you got?" And he's like, "We got 3." I was like, "An alligator tag." And sure enough, we got him, man. And my buddy about got his leg bit off.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we got the first one we got was about he's about 10 or 11 foot, I think. And we was arguing over whether he's dead or not. And my buddy Jeff, he said, "You think he's dead? Put your foot on his back." And what he was saying was, "Don't do that." But my buddy Alex heard him say that, and you could tell, Alex was just like, wasn't even thinking. And sure enough, he tapped his foot on his back, and we watched the video back, and in 0.4 seconds, this alligator did a 180-degree turn, man, and with his mouth open. My buddy Alex, he pitched for the Sox and shit. He hiked that leg up. I was like, "Damn it, boy! If you wasn't a good pitcher, he would have had your leg," because he hiked that leg up so fast. I was like,
"Had you guys already shot the alligator?"
Yeah, we'd already shot him, but
really?
they kind of mistook where you were supposed to shoot him, and so it's like,
dazed him.
I hate that. It's like I don't necessarily take pleasure in just killing things, but it's like I always try to make a clean kill.
Absolutely.
But the alligator's a little tough to hit the spot.
Yeah, I bet.
Speaking of clean kill, I've heard you've had some pretty amazing distance shots, but mine is 327 yards on a javelina with a 6.5 Grendel. So
that's a good shot.
I bopped his ass. I built this. We call it the one hitter. It kind of got it was a one hitter for 1 year, and then the next year it wasn't a one hitter anymore. But I didn't realize that I got drunk the night before, and I was showing them how I could turn the turrets on my scope, and it would stay where it was supposed to. It's a Vortex Diamondback, and it's like you can set it. So boy, I wasn't doing it right. So I'll get out there and try to shoot a deer next day. I shot like 5 feet over his back. I said, "What the hell?" But I built that gun out, man, and it's got a side charge on it, so you can put the scope on it. It's AR base, but instead of having reaching up underneath the scope and pulling or having to have your scope lifted up, this dude created this side charge for it, and I love that round. It's a really good round. I mean, it shoots pretty flat, hits hard. Now, 6.5 Creedmoor obviously hits a little harder, but are those European or UK military rounds?
I'm not too sure.
So we use 5.56, 7.62, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. 300 Win Mag and 50 cal.
Do they still use the Remington 700 action for sniper rifles in our military? So I just got my dream gun.
I say that, but it changes fast. But as of a couple years ago, we were still using them.
My dream gun was a Remington 700 30-06 with a CDL with a black cap stock and a stainless steel fluted barrel.
Yep.
And I looked for one for years. And my buddy in Texas knew I was looking for one, but they were all like $2,500, $3,000. They quit making them, I guess. And finally, he called me here a while back, and he's like, "I found you one. It's $1,200." I was like, "How much is it going to cost me?" And he's like, $1,200 in shipping. I was like, "All right, deal." So I did not have the money to buy that gun at the time, but I was like, I ain't gonna let it slip through my hands. But
I bought a couple of those, not that particular, but guns that I didn't have the money to buy.
Well, you want a 6.5 Grendel? Because I need some of that money back. I'll sell my Grendel with 250 rounds. Go on now.
I got enough of them right now.
Man.
But cool,
dude. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Let's go see if we can get some birds down.
Yeah, let's do it.
It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'm ball game.
Adios.